What the city is talking about. This is Montreal Now on News Talk Radio, CJAD 800.
You're blaming temporary immigrants for the problems of this province. You're talking about the housing crisis, education. It seems that you're putting the fault on temporary immigrants only. What would you say to that?
It's facts. I think we are, in Canada and Quebec, the place in the world welcoming the highest number of immigrants. Come on, it's a question of facts. You cannot accept 300,000 additional people in 2 years without any impact on the number of teachers you need, the number of nurses you need, the number of houses you need, and the future of French. It's a question of fact.
Yeah, it's a question of fact, at least according to the Premier. Of course, the facts are his. There are other facts suggesting that's not the case. James Mennie, Montreal Gazette, standing by. Jim, what did you make of that? I don't want to say got combative a bit this morning. There were a lot of questions. He took a lot of questions. He's not backing down.
Because you know what's really frustrating about this is, to a certain extent, every single word he said is true. To a certain extent, every single word he said about the feds and their come one, come all immigration policy, which is basically written on a tweet issued by Justin Trudeau like nearly a decade ago, this is what all these problems are causing. But because this is the CAC, because this is Francois Legault, God forbid he held a press conference flanked by the leaders of all the other political parties in Quebec. God forbid he actually had a common front for the feds and turns around and says, listen, this is not working. You've got to take action here. We are not going to be, and I would have used the word dumping ground for your quotas of immigrants. They're being thrown into Quebec with insufficient support. But because it's Francois Legault, he needs an enemy. So they're threatening French, and they're going to be threatening the identity, and they're threatening jobs and whatever. And wait, the minute those words had left Francois Legault's head, Paul Saint-Pierre Plamondon, head of the PQ, holds a press conference saying, "Are you kidding? That's nothing. We are going to announce this October, when we form a government, we are going to absolutely shut down immigration across the board. We're going to reduce levels on every single category. This is completely unacceptable." In other words, the two most divisive, identity-obsessed political parties in Quebec have decided once again, after a summer recess, to resume their game of immigrant poker. And, it's so funny because back in 2015, in the federal election, it was almost a game. It was the same kind of a poker game, except each party kept trying to outdo the other in raising the number of refugees it would accept. Now it's the reverse here in Quebec. You want to turn around and say, no, it's going to be lower, 35,000, maybe lower indeed. Maybe we won't take any at all. And I know before you ask me the question, Aaron, where are the Liberals on this? The Crab Nebula? I don't know. They're certainly not on this story right now. And this is a huge story that should concern, whether we like it or not, the official opposition of Quebec.
Okay, look, I'm going to play a lot more of this press conference because there's some interesting questions that were asked. He brought up, when you talk about the French language, Jim, and we know that's going to come now, typically anytime there's a press conference, this whole idea, again, of people and the language they speak in their homes. And I remember the outcry last time this came up, right? But he brought it up again today, as proof that French is in decline or being threatened. The other part of this story, though, is what's happening at educational institutions, right? And
absolutely,
yeah, they're going to limit the number of foreign students who can come in. But when he was asked about, well, how will this affect Concordia and McGill, he kind of brushed it off and said, well, wait till we introduce legislation, then we'll come back and talk about it then. I mean, it doesn't seem like this is a big number in terms of restricting temporary foreign workers. And I guess he's trying to get a little bit of support here, saying that all premiers are looking for the feds to help out and distribute these people equally across the country. Absolutely.
I think to a large extent, Legault is right. You're not going to hear me say that very often on this show, but he is right. Quebec has been left holding the bag for some ideological promise that Justin Trudeau decided to make back in the days of the regime of Donald Trump. That's how long ago we're talking. And now it is true. You can't bring that many people in the country without the proper resources and not expect it to be held. And of course, the people who are really getting screwed over here are the immigrants themselves, because then they do become scapegoats. They do become, oh, that's the reason why this isn't working. It's because of all those immigrants, which is, of course, absolute rubbish. It's because of all those, posturing politicians in the Trudeau Liberal Party who are turning around saying, oh, yeah, no, everyone on earth can come to Canada, no problem. It's what we're all about, except it isn't what we're all about at all. But all that said, everyone now is going to be using the issue of immigration as a means to further their political agendas, whether that further is based on fact or not. And I have to tell you, Aaron, I think we're reaching a dangerous point now politically where if they keep playing chicken with this issue, there are people out there sometimes who take things the wrong way. Let's put it that way. I'd hate to see this translated into some sort of action or act, regrettable act based on the fact that immigrants are perpetually being depicted as a threat to Quebec and its people.
By the way, I will tell you that the government of Canada, there's a press release after the Legault press conference. I don't know if you saw this, right? Announcing government of Canada announces approval of provincial request for temporary freeze on low-wage occupations in Montreal under the temporary foreign worker program. So this was obviously a fait accompli, right? This is just a chance to try to steal a little bit of the spotlight here.
Oh, absolutely. And the fact that the feds have signed off on it, know that they're in the wrong. It allows them not to be questioned on it, even though, and like I say, I'm no friend of Francois Legault politically. But that said, the guy is not 100% wrong. The guy is basically telling the truth. It could be any other premier of Quebec could be saying the same damn thing. And this is what happens when I guess your immigration policy is based on the same premise as the script of a Disney movie. It's like there is not always happy endings here, and things don't always work, and it's definitely not working in this country. We're hearing it more often and more loudly in Quebec, but trust me, as the months go by, we're going to start hearing more of it down the road elsewhere in the country, and I don't like the way this is going.
All right, let me move on and talk about something that Eric Duhem said the other day, then I saw today. Canadian Taxpayer Federation came out and basically said the same thing, the idea that he's calling on the government to ease off on this idea of getting rid of our gas-powered cars and just driving, electric cars, because apparently hybrids are no good either. And this is supposed to happen, I think the last thing I saw, 2035, you're supposed to have your car off the road. And Eric Duhem is saying, no, this is ridiculous, it's not going to work, and he's asking the government to sort of walk it back.
I think he's a zillion % right. It's only for Quebec itself, which, as I've said repeatedly on the show, when it comes to in environmental hypocrisy, nobody stands before Quebecers. The ones who like to, coo and sigh over being green and saving the planet, and then turn around and become the single most common buyers of SUVs, F-150s, you name it, big-ass pickup trucks, and then turn around and say, we don't want your dirty oil. Do you really think that Quebecers are going to detach themselves from their internal combustion engines because Francois Legault, who as far as we know will be out of politics by then, turns around now and says, that's our objective. We want you all driving electric cars, which may or may not work by 2035. Give me a break.
It's funny. I don't think anyone's buying that either, but it's interesting because all the government would have to do, whatever government happens to be in power, is just simply to, declare a moratorium and just kind of put it off without making a big deal about it.
Absolutely. But here's what gets me. You're on the one hand, you're 100% right. People aren't taking this very seriously. It's government freaking policy.
Yeah, well.
This is what gets me. They turned around and they said they put this year out with a straight face. And are they going to be able to pull it off? No, of course not. But in the meantime, they've avoided being, pilloried by the usual environmental groups.
Right.
And if you turn around and do what you say, have that moratorium, the environmental groups will hop up and down. But the vast majority of people will be sitting idling in their cars saying, boy, the line's not that long for the gas pump today.
There you go. True. Jim, thank you. Appreciate it.
Adam out.